Okay, well, opening up with the first race, as we mentioned, we've got two back-to-back races opening with Nori versus Mamgar, Group A matchup, and both looking to get their first win on the boards today. So both of them relatively similar in times throughout this tournament, so this should be a pretty close race, I would suggest. I wouldn't suggest, it would seem, sorry. I don't know English.
Yeah, and they're underway now, yeah. So both of them have lost once, both times to Turkey, both of them to Turkey. So both of them on equal footing in that regard.
Yeah, my bad. Okay, so opening up, this is pretty much our little tutorial area of the game. They'll be killing a couple of enemies along the route to try and get a lucky drop. They'll be hoping for monster milk, but that's a very rare item to get. But monster milk or pipe ball will be useful to them, especially when they reach the opening boss of the run, known as the ammo baron. So, and he's pretty heavy on the RNG sometimes, so you have to be careful.
So Nori is killing more guards here, so it looks like he's trying to farm up some more gems, which is why he's a bit behind, because whenever you kill an enemy, the game pauses for a fraction of a second.
Yeah, that it does, and yeah, with each consecutive hit, if you can get him on a straight row, it actually negates the gap between each stutter, eventually bringing it down to being a non-existent stutter. So it doesn't cost much time to do, so it's always worth trying to get a couple of items early, or maybe a few more gems is probably what they're hoping for as well.
Yeah, it looks like even though Nori killed a few more enemies, he was actually behind on gems from Mamgar, so Mamgar getting very lucky there. Although Nori picking up a pike ball, which will be handy later. There's a couple places he could choose to use it, so it'll be interesting to see exactly where that happens.
Yeah, for certain there. They'll be taking on our opening boss of the run, the Ammo Baron. As mentioned, he's pretty heavy on the RNG. He does have one of three attacks he can do. He can charge her, he can shoot a black cannonball, or he can shoot a red cannonball. They'll be hoping to see a cannonball straight off the bat, because we know that if once a cannonball is shot, then there will be no charges for the remainder of that phase until the red ball has been revealed. And it's the red ball they'll want to, well, knock him down and start wailing on damage. RNG not favouring Nori at the moment, though, it seems.
Yeah, Mamgar had a lot of charges as well, but Mamgar finishes up about 5 seconds ahead of Nori there, so getting less charges towards the end. But yeah, both of them didn't have a great start to that fight.
And that's the pain of Ammo Baron.
So in this cutscene here, Shantae receives her court summons and seems extremely happy about it for some reason. Don't think she quite understands what it means.
Yay, I'm gonna get my hair cut off. Wait. Also got to give shout-outs to Trapto.
Yeah, nothing like a nice relaxing bath after getting a court summons. There is, however, one problem with that.
Yeah, for some reason she only just realised that she doesn't own a bathtub. So, yeah, it's a trap, Shantae. Watch yourself.
And falling for it twice within 5 seconds of each other. She hasn't learned her lesson those 5 seconds between the two runners.
They'll be taking out the first Kakobat of the run. Well, we say the first, but it's actually the only Kakobat they'll take out in this particular run. The Dark Magic itself is more for the true ending of this game. So they'll just take out this one mandatory one and forgo everything else and start blitzing through this run.
Yeah, I've never seen that strategy by Mamgar there, getting stuck between the ceiling and the Kakobat in the corner. That was an interesting way to do it. Never seen that before.
Yeah, that's new to me as well, actually.
So you see Mamgar going to pick up his library card here, so we'll pick that up from Sky, and then he'll go see the old save guy to do the only mandatory save of the run.
Yeah, unfortunately, the guard of this town will not let you pass until you've at least got a library card and that you've been safe. Way forward thinking, very nice of our runners to make sure they stay safe on their journeys.
Yeah, and you have to save in town. There was a save guide before Ammo Baron. If you save there, that doesn't count. It has to be in town. So Mamgar going through Scarecrow Fields and getting a super Pike Ball and a regular Pike Ball. That is very nice. And Nori getting a Lobster Tail, which is less nice, but still good.
Yeah, aiming to kill these Scarecrows, as mentioned. There's a few drops that they can get. The major ones being the Super Pike Ball and the Monster Milk again. As you mentioned, Mamgar did get a Super Pike Ball. It's up to him how he takes that now. He could still purchase the Super Pike Ball that he usually intended in the run, or you could choose to save those gems for later on for potentially another item that may prove more useful to him. So we'll have to wait and see for that.
So what you see Mamgar trying to do there and Nori doing is by getting trapped between the ceiling and these snakes. I mean, if you pogo on them, you actually kill them multiple times. You need the 3 flash mobs there and both of them get that without issue, although Mamgar did accidentally get knocked out of the room briefly.
Yeah, fortunately though, he at least got the scimitar bounces, so he'll at least be able to make use of the drops. But for them, doing so far so good, pretty much on pace with one another. And my apologies, Trent, I was getting ready for work as well as watching the race. As your race, I'm so sorry. My bad.
Yeah, the main difference between them drop-wise is that Mamgar has a super Pike Ball. Both of them do have a regular Pike Ball though, so it'll be interesting to see if either one of them uses it on their way back through, back to town, killing some orcs with that Pike Ball.
Yeah, I'll give them an opportunity to collect a few more gems or get a potential food drop. There is a very rare drop there, the Pirate Flare, which will save them a decent amount of time if they can get it. But it is literally a once-in-a-blue moon item from those 3 orcs, usually. At least from my experience. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah. Pike Ball!
Yep, and Nori choosing to use his Pike Ball just as he leaves the palace. And Mamgar doing the same thing.
Yeah, so about to say, you can't blame us really. About to say using it earlier, even with one, because I mean, there's another point where they would like a Pike Ball, but they'll have opportunities to get a couple of Pike Balls on their way to that particular point. So no harm in going for the extra gems. That'll give them more comfort in managing their item stash as they go through the run.
Yep, and Nori picking up a Pike Ball on his way back through, so as does Mamgar, so they both justified in using that.
So RNG's being relatively favourable, more so to Mamgar at this point, but there's quite a few points of this run where RNG will have a factor in the run. However, it's not usually to the point where it will kill or give anyone a distinct advantage unless it's all RNG for one and no RNG for another. So this could go back and forth.
So Nori's doing what I thought he might be doing, and he picks up 4 Pirate Flares there instead of the usual 3. So what he's probably doing, I imagine, is skipping the shop on Tan line and doing it later when he goes back to get the Death Mask. So, which is almost a guaranteed 2-shop strategy.
Yeah, I believe he's going with your routing in terms of the shopping for that then.
Yeah, I know he said he was thinking of it, but I didn't know if actually did it. But yeah, when I saw him kill the guards on the opening screen, I thought that might be what he was going for.
Yeah, definitely a worthy strat. I mean, if RNG goes strongly in your favour, it can cost you a bit of time to go this way, but with this game, RNG can mess you up quite a more often than it's going to favour you, so taking the extra time to get that, as Majority mentioned, it guarantees the 2-shot route and also gives them even more gems to be able to stock up quite substantially when they decide to take the second shop.
Yeah, the main difference with it is you're doing your second shop after most of the RNG drops happen, so you know exactly what you need. So you don't risk buying something extra and then getting a drop of it. As Nori gets the fall down skip here, so that will save him some extra time in the Giga Lummox.
Yeah, there's 2 methods of skipping or saving time against Giga Lummox. One of them is, as I mentioned, getting that cut down there. It saves the animation of the hamstink travelling its way to the Giga Lummox's nose. The other is pausing and unpausing after releasing the hamstink 3 times. This skips the animation of the Giga Lummox blinking. So getting both of them, like Nori did, that saves him a good 8 seconds, I believe, roughly. And yeah, I'm not quite sure why, but I'm pretty sure Mamgar collected the ring, which is not usually a part of this route. So I'm not really too sure what he's going for there.
Yeah, I think he did that in his last race as well, if I remember correctly. I think I was commentating that as well. I think he just, I think he's been out of it for a while and doesn't remember exactly what he needs to get.
Alright, so where are we? Yes, Nori's going into our first lab. What's it called again? Christ, I didn't even see the name pop up. Spell a maze, sorry, there we go. Taking the detour into a hidden area. It's a Easter egg nod to the original GDC Shantae, a replica of the very first lab of that game. And the intention here is they're actually going to be gathering up a couple of keys early, as keys are not mandatory to any particular dungeon. This will actually save them a sizable amount of time later on. So we'll explain that when we get a bit closer to the area where it really comes into play. But for now, enjoy speedrunning.
Yeah, Nori there setting up for the animation cancel on the key pickup. By using a food item as you're picking up a key, you will skip the pickup animation and just play the food eating animation. Unfortunately, not quite getting it there, but he'll have another chance in a moment on the other key.
Yeah, that saves a good 2 to 3 seconds, dependent on how you handle your item maneuvering to actually activate or to select the food item ready. But it usually averages about 2 to 3 seconds per time, so if they have any spare food, it's up to them whether they choose for safety or go for animation skipping.
Yeah, so Nori gets it on the second attempt. Mamgar got the worst case scenario, trying to do it on the first attempt, where he got the food animation and then the key animation. So doubling up there, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately that's a sign of just activating it a bit too early there, but still early doors. Nori did decide to opt to go for the go for the more common key for stacking up, because there is a key actually at the bottom end of Spiller Maze that they could go for, which helps in towards the key stacking that they're aiming for. But there's a key later on that we generally go for, just because the times are relatively similar, as well as there's more potential item drops for them at that point. So hopefully they get some good drops from our good Bat Lady friend.
Yeah, I'm sure Nori will get his mandatory pirate flair from her.
For sure.
So Nori's heading into the first proper boss fight of the game against Cyclops Plantier. So similar to what we saw in the sewers, he'll be getting stuck between the ceiling and the enemy and then using his scimitar to pogo on them and do a lot of damage very quickly.
Yeah, that carries over for both phases as well. As mentioned, first phase, get trapped in. Second phase is getting the timing right with your cannons and basically destroy poor Cyclops Plant.
That was a very good fight by Nori there as Mamgar's entering the fight now. So still very close between the two runners.
Yeah, it seems like Nori had an eye for that fight. I hate myself. I don't even know why I did a pun there, actually, my bad.
Chat, save me. Save me, chat.
Save me from myself as well, will you?
I did it!
So Mamgar making short work of that fight as well. Yeah,
so
now with
one
this,
island down.
yeah, with the spider web map, they're heading over to Spider Web Island, which is an interesting island. There is a interesting section in the middle of it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Rep to go!
We'll find out soon enough in the next 30 seconds or so, I think.
Yeah, well, based on what chat's saying, you may be doing commentary on your own in a bit. Looks like the hunt has begun.
And Nori trying to go for the animation skip on the fossil and also not getting it and eating his food. So yeah, he's not having much luck with that today.
Unfortunately there, and he'll be making his way up to the set piece that was mentioned. better known as Run Run Rotty Tops. I'm going to let you take this one.
So Run Run Rotty Tops is Turkey's favourite section of the game. So what you have to do is you have to carry Rotty Tops through the section. It's almost an auto-scroller. You're traversing these rooms against various traps and enemies. If you get touched by an enemy in any way, you get sent back to the beginning of the room you're currently in.
Yeah, and they'll be pretty much tangling with the likes of a few fun little enemies and some licky tongues. They've got some kissy Cyclops guys, or kissy robots, sorry, they're better known as grabby hands, and an enemy dubbed the Stevens. Praise be the Stevens.
Nori making it past the gatekeeper, no problem, although he does fail the second tongue skip and gets sent back to the start of the room. The gatekeeper's nice to him the second time round as well.
Oh, that's unusual for gatekeeper. Nice, twice in a row. Wow. New gatekeeper. Yeah, in this area there's not a lot you can really do to save time. One of the methods is, as Nori's been showing, skipping by the tongues just by sliding down the side of the wall. It enables you to not have to wait for them around too much. Also, you may have noticed he did a shuffle in the next room following the first tongue room. That was to manipulate the tongue at the bottom to activate, so he could, once he gets the cut, he can go straight through. For the majority of the rest of it, though, it's these spiky pillars. So. This is why it's effectively like an auto-scroller, unfortunately for some.
Yeah, nothing you can do to save time, and if RNG's against you with the cycles, you can lose a few seconds here and there waiting for the spikes. So Nori now onto the room with the gravestones, so we know which gravestones can come to life. We just don't know if they will and when they will, or which direction they're going to go and when they do. But Nori making it through the first gravestone room, no problem.
Yeah, the RNG plays a little bit of a part there. So usually what they'll do is intentionally jump over every tombstone that they know has the possibility of standing up. This just negates the potential worry of one of them coming up and just giving them a slap.
And Nori trying his best to validate the run by doing the stake jumps there, but he still has another validation much later on in the run.
Oh yeah. I mean, he also got the stake jump right at the beginning as well, so triple stake jumps for Nori. Nice. Now, so the stake jumps themselves are actually not any beneficial to the actual speed run. It's just sort of a thing that several of us runners do, where we just basically say, if you don't do them, your run's not validated. It's kind of an inside joke. I'm not really sure exactly how it started off, to be fair. As Mamgar chooses not to validate his run, so for shame.
He'll have redemption chance later at Branson.
Oh yeah.
So Nori going past the Stevens now, which shoot out little Stevens. Still not entirely sure why they called that, but they are. But the gates of hell are closed for Nori today.
Sorry.
So Nori now on the final room of the run, which is basically an amalgamation of all the mechanics we've seen throughout Run Run Rotty Tops in one large room at the end. So it's going to see every enemy, every mechanic, and yeah, hopefully make it through unscathed.
Hopefully, because I mean, a death in this room is very costly. Depends on where you get caught, it can cost you upwards of about 30 seconds off your run. So this is certainly one room you don't want to take a hit on.
Yeah, and that last part with the tombstones there, along with the tongue monster things, can be quite dangerous, especially where you're jumping between the two tombstones. There's a chance they'll come to life at the same time and run towards you, and you have very, very small time to react to that.
But he made it out well. Mamgar also had the gates of hell open for him, so RNG relatively favourable. And did Nori take the safety save just?
I wasn't looking. Maybe he's worried about a crash.
That is very possible. Fortunately, with the PC version of this game, there is chances amongst, I think, near enough any screen transaction, but I think some are more common than others. There's a chance that the game can crash on them, and it has happened, I believe, twice so far in this tournament. Which is certainly something which was very unfortunate. You really don't want to see it here. So, yeah, that would make sense. He's taking that save just in case the game decides to try and have him.
Yeah, there's three common places that happens on PC. It's entering Cackle Tower, which Nori's about to do now, leaving 10-line docks, as well as entering Abandoned Factory, which is the last dungeon of the game. So they're the three most common spots for it to happen. And of course, because we've only saved right at the beginning of the game, if you crash, that's where you have to start from. But Nori making it into Cackle Tower without any issue.
As both runners also got the shriveled thing, which is the access to said dungeon. For whatever reason, this is one of the very few text boxes that you can't skip, and yeah, it does smell as well, by the way. Very important that we knew it smelled, and that's why we're not allowed to skip it. I'm not really sure why, but just take our word for it, it's important.
Yeah, it's clearly more important than the rest of the text to the plot of the game.
Yeah, right, and right, it's this lab where they'll be going for that the next key in the run that was mentioned a bit earlier on. Going down low into Cackle Tower enables them to potentially get a key that will get them a key, sorry, as I mentioned, about a similar time, but they get a potential item drop from a Bat Lady in here, who can drop either Super Monster Milk, a Super Pipe Ball, or the aforementioned Pirate Flare. The main item they'll want is the Super Monster Milk, but as long as they get a drop, they'll be happy.
Yeah, Nori not getting anything there. Let's see what Mamgar gets. And Mamgar gets a Pirate Flare. The run has clearly the players confused.
Maybe the streams are on the wrong side. Who knows?
Yeah, with that Pirate Flare, he will most likely use it just to save having to buy another one later on. I can't think of any place you would keep the number of Pirate Flares you'd normally buy and use as extra. I don't think there's any place you could do that, so he's probably just going to use it and not buy one additional one later on.
Yeah, it's relatively dependable. There's one or two things that they could do with it. It could either, as mentioned, buy a flare less on the next shop, so that just saves them the gems, or they may opt to buy the usual amount of flares and actually prevent picking up a flare from a trade that happens later on in the run. So we'll see what happens when that comes out. But I mean, that is a bit later on.
Or we could use it to skip the next shop and delay it like Nori's going to do. Anyway, speaking of Nori, he's starting the fight against Emperor Spider here. What he's going to try and do, I think he's trying to do it, is get stuck in the spider's hitbox, and with your Pirate Flare, Super Pipe Ball's doing damage. But if you whip the enemy just as you're about to get hit, you won't get knocked back, and your jump will be reset, so you can basically stay in there indefinitely.
Yeah, it's a very risky strat to take, because even if you do the fight very well, it's essentially a game of chicken. Your health will be near death, so there's a very big risk going for this fast strat that they could lose the auto potion, which is a very nice safety net to keep throughout the run, especially in a tournament setting.
Yeah, Nori taking it safely, but Mamgar going ham on the spider there and making up quite a bit of time with that strategy. So very nicely done by him. Yeah, only one hit left. If he got hit one more time, he would have used his auto potion.
The gap closes up, and this is proving to be the race that we thought it would be. It's so far not much in it.
Yeah, pretty much an entire ring grab between them. Yeah, Mamgar does have that extra Pirate Flare, and he did get a Super Pipe Ball earlier, so he does have that advantage over Nori at the moment.
That is true, as they will be entering the next island, Townline Island. This will be a quick trip to start with. They'll be making their way to Squid Baron. That will give them an item, so they could begin a fetch quest to obtain these key passes to enter the next the next dungeon. However, this island in general is pretty much the biggest part of their item management of their RNG. They'll be hoping to get as many of the items required for the run to speed it up and to make their run well, as safe as possible as well. So the game will pretty much dictate that, and the rest they'll have to work out via routing or score gal grinding, which Nori's decided to go for and got paid off with a monster milk. No, super monster milk, sorry, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was indeed. Yeah, and he got a bubble shield on his way through from the cactuses as well, which is you pretty much need one in your run. 2 is ideal because you can then use 1 on Steel Maggot to slightly speed that up. But yeah, you need 1 to finish the game. So getting 1 now saves 25 gems.
Well, definitely a vital part of this run. I mean, it is possible to do the run without 1, but the risk is very high in doing so, especially when it comes to the final fight of the game. Oh yeah, Rip Joe, sorry. Very delayed on that, my bad.
Yeah, so Nori's going to did Joe first because he's not doing a shop here, whereas Mamgar's gone to Sliver Island before going back to Scuttletown because there's 30 gems you can pick up here, so he'll want them for his shop. However, because Nori's delaying his shop, he'll get those 30 gems now because he doesn't need them for that shop, so he'll get them afterwards.
Yeah, the main purpose of picking up that extra flare at the beginning of the run, I believe that is, so at least they've got the set amount of flares before the next shop.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So yeah, the Mamgar, you'll see him going back to Scuttletown now, and he'll be heading into the shop because he's out of pirate flares. The Nori has, well, he's not out of pirate flares because he got that 1 drop, but ignoring that, he would be out of pirate flares. And yeah, as Nori has an extra 1, he can use it after the next dungeon, and you need to go to Scuttletown anyway after that, so not much time lost shopping there instead. There's Nori making his way back through Tanline Island and only getting a meat chunklet for his trouble, so he's not had any monster milk drops, but he's got that super, and that should be enough.
That will at least set him up for the next boss, but of course he'll be wanting to see as many of the drops as humanly possible to set him up for every boss of the run. So he'll probably choose to grind on a couple more Scorp Gals, so we'll see.
Getting a super pipe ball, at least 1 super pipe ball on his way back through the skeletons, so he will probably use that along with his super monster milk on the upcoming boss. As Mamgar gets a regular monster milk from the cactus enemies. Yeah, Nori choosing to kill this Skullgirl again and getting another drop. Let's see what he gets. It is a super pike ball.
As I say, having a drop is definitely worth it. As mentioned, they've got 1 of 3 potential items they can drop: a Super Monster Milk, Super Pipe Ball, or Pipe Gems. I mean, we at least know with the Scorp Girls, it's guaranteed to be 1 of the 3. However, I think it's something like 50% in favour of the gems versus like 20-odd% apiece for the other 2 items. So Scorp Girls are being generous so far to Nori, so he will not be complaining at that at all. I don't know if you have to catch what Mamgar bought from the shop. I'm not sure if he's going for 2 or 3 shop routes.
Yeah, I wasn't looking, unfortunately. I imagine he's got 97 gems, so surely he's going for don't think he had enough gems to get everything he needed.
It's possible he's probably considering the free shop then.
There's Nori's now in a section we call Metal Gear Shantae. Do you want to explain how this works?
Yeah, Metal Gear Shantae is a stealth element, hence the title that we've dubbed it. I don't know why I had to point that out, but still. Pretty much a bit like Run and Rotty Tops, this set piece, in this case they don't want to get caught. If they get caught, it's actually a lot harsher compared to Run. They won't just get sent back to the beginning of the room, they'll get sent back to the beginning of the entire section. So,
and speaking of getting caught, Nori not quite getting the chain skip, and yeah, doing it slowly and getting sent back to the start of the room. So they are really, really close now between both runners.
So that's going to pretty much put them on par with one another, I believe. There's not going to be much difference between them. But yeah, I was going to mention them getting caught in the later parts. So that's like this section, depends on where you get caught. That's like the particular part that Nori got caught there is probably at least 30 plus seconds. Later, a little bit later on, it could cost them a good minute. But also, this is the temple that we was mentioning where the stockpile keys from earlier is coming into play. The aim is when they get to the centre, they'll make their way forward to release 3 of the other main characters of the Shantae series out of their cells, and stockpiling those keys saves them from dealing with about 2/3 of this particular dungeon. So it just knocks off a good chunkable size of time.
As Nori makes it past the final room with no issues at all, Mamgar not too far behind at all. Both players choosing to skip an additional 60 gems they could have grabbed. So clearly they have an idea of how much money they need and they're happy with what they have.
Yeah, nicely done by both runners for Southampton. Unfortunate getting caught for Nori a bit earlier, but he's still ahead at this point, so it's probably anyone's game at this particular juncture. And this will pretty much come down to what item management they obtain or how they're going to handle that.
Yeah, I think as Mamgar, I don't know if Mamgar bought a Super Monster Milk, I don't think so, but yeah, so Nori will probably have a quicker boss fight coming up unless Mamgar gets lucky on one of the Scorp Girls coming up.
I think he might have actually. I mean, I didn't quite catch his shop, but for some reason I'm pretty sure he went down towards the milk area, so I think he might have purchased one. Well, hopefully when he opens his menu next we'll be able to find out for certain, but item-wise I think both of them relatively similar. They've at least got a milk and a pipe and a super pipe ball within their repertoire, so they'll be set for the next boss, but anything else after that will be dependent on how they handle their gems.
Yeah, I know Nori doesn't have any regular monster milks, only that's super, and I know Mamgar definitely has a regular milk, but I'm not sure beyond that.
Yeah, Nori will have somewhat of an advantage as he went with a different method of the two-shot route that Mijati actually came out with, so he's still got his second shot to take, so anything that he could be short on, he'll probably be using his gems to his advantage there to pick up any loose ends, and that should set him up for the remainder of the run.
Yeah, and Nori going for this final Scorp Gal here, hoping to get another drop, and he does. Very lucky in another Super Monster Milk, so that's 2 Super Monster Milks, 2 Super Pipe Balls from him. He's getting extremely lucky.
He's getting some very nice drops, and that's gonna set him up for the next 2 bosses at least. And based on his gem count, I would probably say he's gonna have enough to purchase every single loose end, possibly even the strongest set of items possible, or at least from the milk standard, possibly.
Oh, and he's going for the additional key here to get another Scorp Gal kill.
Yeah, I mean, as I go for that key, it is still slightly slower, but as mentioned, there's the opportunity of getting another major drop, so it's all dependent on whether or not if you want that extra potential drop or not.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything this time, unfortunately, but he did get a regular monster milk from the cactus and another one there as well. So Mamgar actually ahead right now, but you have that key time difference between them, so they're very, very close indeed.
Yes, I would still say they're pretty much neck and neck. Mamgar, I believe, did get a monster milk and even the bubble shield when he was making his descent down into the gauntlet room.
Yeah, Mamgar getting another super monster milk there as Nori gets his second bubble shield, as well as a super pike ball off one of the Scorp Gals. So he's pretty much sorted now.
Pretty much. As I say, he's got decent amount of gems. Depends on how he wants to handle them, but I would probably say he's going to at least pick up 1, maybe 2 super monster milks.
He can only afford 1.
Really?
Because you need 110 for the 4 flares, and it's 75 a piece. You need 260 for the 2 monster milks.
I'm miscounting. That's my bad.
But he's using a regular monster milk in, not a super Nori, as Mamgar having a little bit of trouble with the crusher there.
Nori did take another save before entering Squid Baron fight, just to put himself a bit more secure. Just to mention of Squid Baron himself, he works off a script, so we pretty much know what actions he will take and in what order. And because he comes in 2 phases, the aim is to at least take the first phase down before he starts his eating phase, ideally. Then at least by that we can manipulate his second phase to begin where we want him to, which would be that eating phase, because he will be able to cause more damage per second than the Squid Baron can heal. So by doing that, they can just pretty much rip through his second phase relatively comfortably.
So Mamgar getting the first phase a little bit too quickly and does not wait on piercing Squid Baron's armor, so he does get slightly slower, but that's still a very nice fight by him.
Both making it through. I believe they've both still got their auto potions as well, so they've got that additional safety, although I'm not too sure, but I don't think Mamgar has put a safety save in at this point.
No, I don't think he has either. So now with the Mudbog map, they'll have to head back towards Scuttletown to pick up the Death Mask, otherwise you'll get the entrance to the next area, and you'll quickly be shooed away. So Noor will head back to Scuttletown here. He's going to head to the shop first, which you'll see Mamgar go straight to pick up the Death Mask. So probably going to see 4 Pirate Flares, a Super Monster Milk, and I imagine a potion set?
Oh, potion set.
He's gone for the potion set.
That's fair enough. I mean, he does have 3 Super Pipe Balls anyway. I mean, picking up that potion set is intentional. That's it. He could be for safety, but I believe his main reasoning is for animation skipping for possibly the next section that'll be coming up. Once they traverse through Mudbogs. Mudbogs itself is, we pretty much know it as a casual's nightmare. I mean, I think everyone who's played through the game casually has had a lot of trouble with this section. There's boatloads of enemies all over the place, and they'll want to make sure to keep their charge throughout that section. Otherwise, you get caught and you drop out, you could be looking at losing a good amount of health here.
And you see Mamgar there hitting his head against the ceiling and getting caught out. So luckily there weren't any enemies there to swarm around him, but there's certain places where if you get hit, you're going to have a bad time. Nori very nearly getting the... Nori very nearly forgot the Death Mask there. You saw him go to his boat before realising, wait a minute, I need something else from Scuttletown and heading back. So thankfully he remembered then and not later on.
Oh yeah, it's disheartening if you get to the end here and he's like, nope, oh no.
Yeah, other than that, let's miss that for Mamgar. Both players getting through this area fine, no issues at all.
So with Mudbogs down, they'll be entering the Village of Lost Souls. Again, this area does have quite a bit of damaging enemies amongst it, but what they'll be doing here is they'll be traversing around to collect 3 coins that are scattered around the area. This is for a little mini game we simply know as heads and tails. Very simple, but this is another big RNG section of the run where the gamers could very well troll them. If you'd like to explain a bit more on that, if you like, Majay.
Yeah, so what you have to do, there's 3 gamers, and you have to get the correct, you have to flip heads and tails, you have to get it right 3 times in a row. The usual pattern is heads, heads, tails, because the game hates you, and we only select heads because it's the quickest option and it's entirely random. So there's no way to dictate what it is. Thankfully, once you got it wrong 3 times, the game decides to be nice to you, and your 4th time you'll get it right every single time. Otherwise, we could be here for a while.
I mean, how cruel would that actually be if there was not a failsafe and you're there for a good 20 minutes just guessing heads or tails? Enough to make a grown man go insane.
So both players getting the coin at pretty much exactly the same time. Nori making up time by using his 3 potions he picked up at the last shop here to do the animation skip, which has brought him right back in line with Mamgar.
And we've still got that little bit of advantage for Nori, already having 1 key in stockpile. So when he gets to the final lab, he's only going to need to get 2 keys. So as long as he can keep pace, he should overtake at some point. But anything can happen.
Yeah, and another little bit of time save Nori will have is that because he doesn't need to shop again and Mamgar does, you'll see the odd place where Mamgar's going to be farming some gems that Nori can just completely skip. And did Mamgar just get a 1 cycle?
I don't know.
What's with the RNG?
I think he did, actually. Think it back. I was sort of looking at the Nori side at that particular point, so unfortunately I wasn't too sure, but I think he might have.
So was I. When I looked back and just saw Mamgar with the locket. Yeah, really good RNG for both players this run.
Right, so next lab. Sorry, I can't even speak anymore. The next lab is the Jubilator Suffering. As you may have noticed, having to gain access here. Unfortunately, smelling like a nice little princess. No good. You got to be a dirty old man to get in. But this dungeon itself is where you usually pick up the risky boots in a normal mode playthrough. As you've noticed, this is one of the things that they've been primarily using for transportation. But because of the risky shuffle trick being able to hold left on the D-pad and tap right on the analog, or vice versa, they can basically break this dungeon completely outright, skipping a good 80 to 90% of the actual content, and go straight to this lab's boss.
Yeah, so you see where Nori is now. Normally you'd have to line up a whole bunch of elevators there, lifts, whatever you want to call them. But because we can do the risky shuffle, we can skip that entire section and break that block as Mamgar enters the fight against Dagron, which is an interesting fight.
Yeah, he's in terms of what he actually does, he doesn't do a great deal overall. He'll just keep swooping in from either side and alternating from one side to the other. But his randomness comes into whether or not he goes short or far. They'll be wanting to jump off, smack him in the face, and then just deliver as much damage. But the thing with Dagron is, the more damage you deal, the faster he becomes. And he hits pretty hard, so especially on a 2-heart run, if you allow him to, if you get caught up by him, especially in his faster cycles, you are very likely to take a secondary hit and pretty much bringing you on to near death. So, although he's not too bad in general, he can wreck you pretty quickly if he wants to, so no, never take him lightly.
Yeah, so Mamgar using his last Super Monster Milk there, so I imagine he'll go pick up 2 when he heads to his shop shortly. Whereas Nori, having an item mistake that I guess he wasn't 100% sure what he had, using a Monster Milk, then realising, wait a minute, I have 3 Super Monster Milks, that's more than enough, and switching to use a regular Super Monster, use the Super Monster Milk as well.
Yeah, it's a fortunate thing with this game as well. If you do end up using one of the weaker items, you can just go ahead and use a stronger item, and that will override.
So the player's heading out of the Village of Lost Souls now. Pirate flares only work outside, and the Village of Lost Souls counts as being inside, so a little bit of backtracking here they need to do to get out of the Village of Lost Souls before they can use that pirate flare and head to Frostbite Island.
Flare activated.
Yeah, yeah, just a note, I'm not sure if anyone saw it, but on Nori's side, on one of the rooms, he intentionally charged after. He got his charge stored before, and well, I can't even get my words right again. He intentionally stored his charge up in a room prior and then entering before activating. It's because there's certain parts of the run where there's only like a handful, there's like 2 or 3, but there's an invisible wall that's in your way. So if you charge in the prior screen, it just outright stops you. So he's done that intentionally to get the speed boost going through. I'd like to see if there's going to be any wolf killing in this run.
Yeah, Mamgar avoiding it. I imagine Nori will as well. He's got 2 Super Pike Balls, 2 Super Monster Milks, 2 Bubble Shields. He doesn't need anything else, and he's not shopping again, so he needs no money. So both of them are going to be skipping them.
Yeah, that's a fair enough call. Yeah, both runners very close at this. They're still pretty close at this point of the run. As mentioned again, Nori does still have that key advantage, so
that's what, a 7-second time save?
Dependent on which key he chooses to skip, it's going to be about 10 to 12 seconds, I believe.
Okay, more than I thought.
So this is still anyone's ball game right now.
Yeah, and Mamgar taking an intentional hit there, so he's going to be setting up for a newly found skip, which is extremely difficult to get, the auto potion jump. So we'll explain it when he tries it, but that'll be in a few screens' time.
Interesting.
Although Mamgar having a little trouble with this room here and heading back to go get his charge set up again. And you see Nori there doing what Turkey was explaining just now, stopping before entering that room to get his charge stored, because that is another one of those invisible barriers. But yeah, players are seconds apart now. They're literally on the same chain. As Nori takes the lead by half a second.
Yeah, Mamgar having a bit of a block there from the looks of it through his charge.
So it's after this room, you'll be wanting to pay attention to what Mamgar's going to be attempting to do, as Nori doesn't go for it.
Good luck, Mamgar.
And he gets no! Oh, he doesn't get it, not quite. So by using your auto potion, you have, and then moving to the direction after as your auto potion's healing you, you then have, I think it's 2 frames to jump again, which can skip a whole section and to basically take you to where Nori is now. But Mamgar not quite getting it, and it does mean he doesn't have an auto potion for the rest of his run, so slightly risky.
Yeah, the APJ, as you mentioned, recently found it's very tight trick. I mean, it replenishes your cannon strikes in midair as well, but as mentioned, you have like, I think it's about 2 or 3 frames. I'm not 100% certain on that. To actually be able to jump after you've activated your auto potion and healed, to give you that additional bit of height to reach a platform just above you, which would, I think, off the top of my head, it's about an 8 to 10 second time save. So getting that would have been very nice to see, but again, very risky because it involves using your safety net. So he's going to have to be a little cautious, I would have thought, but we'll see how he chooses to play it. And try and confirming it is 2 frames. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, I think it was only about 3 days ago people discovered it, so yeah, people haven't had a lot of time to practice it and get it consistent yet.
Flare activated.
Unfortunately, it's pretty tight jump. I can't get the gist of it myself, to be honest.
Yeah, no, he didn't get the jump. He got it was his cannon that knocked him up. So yeah, I thought for a second he got it, but unfortunately not. And Nori choosing to do another safety save in town here, because again he's worried about the crash that happens when you enter Frostbite. Not Frostbite, sorry, when you enter Abandoned Factory, which is the dungeon in Frostbite. So he's taking a safety save there. Yeah, just to prevent that. And he falls in a pit, so there we go. Maybe he'll need it for dying instead of the game crashing, who knows.
Hopefully we'll get to see either or both get another validation of the run.
Yeah, all those stake jumps could be for nothing if Nori doesn't get this.
Yeah, Mamgar completed his shop list. I believe he's pretty much set for the run now. So both runners have got everything they want. They'll just be making their way to complete this and get through the final lab.
Yeah, Nori not quite getting the lineup. Let's see if he adjusts for it.
Will he dare to adjust in a tournament?
Oh, he didn't adjust for it. Disqualified.
Yeah, denied. Go away. No.
Oh, look,
Can't know about that. Both very close runners, so I can't say I'm playing him. I say it may only cost fractions of time, but in a tight race like this, you probably don't want to be sacrificing anything. Yes, he did get the free stake jump, so he got some validation at least. I'll combine the 2 runs together, both validated. Everyone's a winner.
A winner in our hearts, anyway. Only one of them can actually win.
Oh, damn it.
I guess they could tie. Then they'll both be winners, and with the way it's going on, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, this is gonna come down to the possibly the steel maggot, maybe the tower climb. I'm not too sure yet, but
yeah, Nori
we'll
has a
soon
slight
find out.
advantage. I believe Mamgar does have a second bubble shield as well. I know that Nori does, so that will save a little bit of time on steel maggot. So will Nori go up here or will he continue down? He's continuing down, so there's a key up there in the room Nori just passed, and we'll see Mamgar pick that momentarily, but because Nori picks up the key in tan line, he will be skipping that one, saving him a little bit of time now.
Yeah, that's the 2 keys. If you do go for the early key, the one up vertical is actually probably the one key you skip it. That's the slower of the 2. But I mean, if you do choose to skip the final key, it enables you an opportunity to evade a squish from an old ice block. This can be very agitating in a run for certain, as he'll be going up against RNG the boss, Steel Maggot. Fun times. This boss has 3 buttons on his back, and you've basically got to hit it in a particular order to expose his tail so you can start whaling damage. What's the code? I have no idea. It's
Nori seems to know though.
Damn.
Wow, and that's a really, really good Steel Maggot fight by Nori there. Wow.
Nicely done. But yeah, it depends on what combination he gives you. He could very well rip into your time. But yeah,
Seems like
it also
Mamgar knows
changes.
as well.
Okay, apparently I'm the only one who doesn't know the combination. Damn it. But
Mamgar having a
GG
little bit of trouble now.
Pirate flare activated.
Yeah, Mamgar not using a bubble shield here and taking it a little bit carefully because he has used his auto potion. He is 1 hit away from death, using his bubble shield now. Well, Mamgar only using a regular milk here, but getting down Steel Maggot there.
It looks like he's having some issues, unfortunately, with second phase of Steel Maggot.
Yeah, I didn't see if Mamgar had another bubble shield or not, so if he doesn't, he does have another one, so that's fine. He doesn't have to head to the shop.
Yeah, I would have thought if he only had the one, he probably wouldn't have used it on Steel Maggot, but you never know.
Yeah, he did use it quite late though, and he does have enough gems for another one, so better to use it late and have none left and buy one than to die and lose your run, especially without the auto potion.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, right, so now Pirate Master is back. He has been awoken and has taken Risky off of Shantae. He's not too pleased. I mean, she did lead a mutiny during the Great Genie War, as according to the story. She also took his face and jawline as attire. Not really sure why, but memento. But yeah, we'll see Nori going to be coming up to the tower climb. Tower climb itself, it's pretty precise. We wanted to use the hat and the cannon to their advantage by using the cannon at the peaks of the jumps, as well as opening the hat at certain points. Because the hat pushes our runners up by roughly a pixel or two, it enables them to reach the highest platform, or to reach the above platform, so they don't have to do the Pirate Master trials, which are pretty annoying to try and traverse.
Nori having a little trouble with it here. He's failed twice on both of the sections so far. He's on his way to the 3rd time you have to use it. Does get a bonus one in there, which he gets first time, and he gets the last one, no trouble at all.
Nicely done.
So will he be going for a safety save? Nope, he's forgoing the final save, so heading straight into the final boss fight against Pirate Master.
And the Pirate Master, believe it or not, he's actually he's pretty much a pushover, to be perfectly honest, but there are some random effects. He'll pretty much teleport around the screen. Ideally, you want him to go into the middle more times than not. At a certain point, he'll start to attack with this bubble spread, and this is one of the reasons why they will want the bubble shield for this fight, because those bubble assaults will outright kill you. It's a one-shot kill on a 2-heart run. That's the last thing you want to see.
Nori having a little trouble here, but nothing too bad. Getting 1 hit there by Pirate Master, which should finish him up momentarily, hopefully before the lasers hit, and he does. So GG Nori for winning the race, and finishing with an official SRL time of 54 minutes and 3 seconds.
Yeah, GG, buddy, GG. Unfortunately, just missing out on that sub 54, but a nice solid run. He's been running very consistently over this tournament as well, so
yeah, that's his
I'm
tournament
sure he's
by 8 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah.
And as Mamgar's finishing up here, let's bring in Nori for an interview. GG Nori, good run.
Was it?
Yes,
oh man, that really could have been much better, but I'm not going to complain. And oh, that was a close race, less than a minute or like a minute between us. Holy cow!
I can't. A few points where you do. No, carry on.
No, I can't complain. I mean, I can, but I won't. I'll take the win, but I don't deserve it. Getting caught in Tanline Temple, falling in Scarecrow Fields for the Branson visit, like just sloppy play across the board. But it didn't cost me, but it should have. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it's really close to that points. And then Mamgar finishing up there in second place with an official SRL time of 55 minutes and 4 seconds, so just over a minute behind Nori. They're a very close race indeed.
Yeah, both runners being pretty consistent throughout this tournament. I mean, you got to be at least happy with that, Nori. I mean, both very low 54s. Obviously, I'm sure you'd want it to be a bit lower, but so far you're doing well.
Yeah, I can't complain about the consistency of the 54s. I mean, I keep getting kind of middle of the road RNG, so like I fumbled a little bit on that last shopping trip. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to get, and then when I went into the Dagron fight, I fumbled on what I wanted to use, and it was just, you know, I got to make a little bit smarter decisions on those front, be a little bit more decisive, and I think I can start to bring things down. But again, I can't really complain so much. I mean, again, very consistent, like you say. It is what it is. So.
Yeah, it seems like your RNG was pretty well. I mean, we opting to go with the hybrid strategy of can squat gals on route. They gave you a good few drops there.
Yeah, it worked out. I mean, you play the 25 to 22% RNG drop, and unfortunately, I got a monster milk and a pike ball for all my trouble, and I think I got one extra pike ball out of the ones in catacombs. So it did kind of work out a little bit, which saved me on the shopping route. I'm glad I skipped the gems in Tanline Temple. Just banking on the RNG, it kind of worked out. It was a little bit of a risk, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, what were your thoughts behind switching up to that 2-shop strategy instead of the standard 3?
I kind of like the consistency of it. It just it feels a little bit better. I know that sometimes you're taking a bit of a gamble from an RNG perspective, but you know, the fact that you're able to get enough gems to pretty much buy what you need for the remainder of bosses at that, it feels much more consistent, and just saves a little bit of time doing one less shop if everything does fall into place.
Yeah, both methods do have their pros and cons. I've noticed the consistency in that shop method, but if the RNG decides to be really nice, then unfortunately, that does shoot you a little bit, but then again, we're talking about Pyrus Curse here. When is RNG ever nice, really?
Exactly.
So, definitely a wise call. And as I said, very nicely done, and GG again. I believe Mamgar's waiting in, if anyone would like to...
Yeah, let's just drag him in for the interview. GG, Mamgar, it was a very good run you had there. Very good RNG. How do you feel about it?
I feel lucky. I feel like I wish I didn't goof up the one-cycle Crusher room and also steal Maggot.
Yeah, but overall, pretty good run. Your RNG was okay from what I could pick up.
Very good run you had there. Very
taking
good
your
RNG.
chances
How
on
do you feel
the
about it?
newly found auto potion jump. Unfortunately, just missing out on that. But fair play for you for giving it a shot, for having a crack at that. I mean, I weren't sure if we'd see it this soon in the tournament, especially with how new the trick is.
I figured I might as well give it a try because,
pretty good run.
Well,
your RNG was okay.
It's funny I say when I fear losing my auto potion, I usually fear losing on Dagron or Empress Spider more likely. I was figuring I could probably just buy another one afterwards if I really needed to, or if I really wanted the safety, but then I didn't have enough money for it.
Yeah, well, again, fair play for giving that a shot. I mean, I can't even get the grasp of the trick myself. I think I've hit it once in about 30, 40 attempts so far. It's not an easy trick to go for. But yeah, any other thoughts on your run in general? I mean, so both of you've been consistent throughout so far, so got to be at least happy with that.
Not really any other thoughts. I do want to say thanks to JT for racing, thanks to you two for commentating, and thanks to everyone at Speed Gaming for setting this whole up. Also, I don't know if JT's mic isn't working or...
No, I'm here. I was just kind of letting you have the spotlight for a bit, but yeah, I appreciate the race as always. GG to you as well. I knew you were going to be a really close one for me, and I was making mistakes. I was half expecting to lose this race the way I was running today. I mean, my boss fights were impeccable, but all the other stuff wasn't. So, fair play to you, man. GG. And thanks for a wonderful race, and thanks to these two beautiful commentators here.
Well, there's some we don't know about. Is someone else commentating this race?
I was trying to figure that out then for a moment myself. But either way, be sure to follow the runners if you enjoy what you see here. Both of them phenomenal runners, respectfully. Also, be sure to follow Majot here, another fellow runner on my side here. So if you like what you see, hit that follow button.
Yeah, and make sure you follow Turkey as well.
Yeah, I believe we have another race right away, so better get out of the way for that one.
But for now, if you need more cravings, we have another race following straight after this. So we'll be back with I believe it's Siegfried versus Malin from Group C.
That is correct. Yes.
Yep, Group ready tops.
Oh yeah. So we'll be back momentarily. So stay tuned.